This is the stone circle of Stonehenge. In case you don't already know, it's the most famous part of the greater historic monument of Stonehenge in southern England. While the construction of Stonehenge as a whole occurred in several phases between 3100 BC and 1600 BC, scientists have narrowed down the creation of the stone circle to be between 2600 and 2400 BC, around the time the ancient Egyptians built the Great Pyramid. According to the official website for the Stonehenge and Avebury World Heritage Site, it's the most famous and sophisticated prehistoric stone circle in the world. The ancient Britons who built Stonehenge left no written record, so we can only guess as to what purpose this monument served. And believe me, there are a lot of theories as to who made it and why, ranging from Merlin the Wizard using magic to build a memorial for fallen Britain soldiers, to aliens using it as a landing area for spacecraft. The most popular interpretation, however, is that it's a sort of temple that measured the movements of the sun across the sky. Regardless of what you believe, though, it's unlikely we'll ever find a definitive answer. The people who built the stone circle are long gone, and the biggest traces they've left behind on this earth, literally, are the monuments you see right now. And yet, people all around the world continue to remain fascinated by Stonehenge to this day. The greater area of Stonehenge is a World Heritage Site, and in the year of 2023, over 1.3 million people paid a visit to this relic of the past. It's had a massive influence on all parts of British culture. Heck, 3 iterations of the Doctor visited Stonehenge. Clearly, we care more about Stonehenge behind merely speculating about what it was built for. And that's because it's a link to the past, to a time so far beyond us that it belongs in the era of prehistory. Even if our knowledge of the ancient Britons is severely limited without any trace of written records, the monuments have persisted over thousands of years. Even though the real purpose of Stonehenge is lost to time, and what remains are just the ruined structures, we continue to wonder and marvel at the people who made these awesome monuments, theorizing both how they were able to carry each of these stones across hundreds of miles and what they were doing this all for. In short, the ruins like Stonehenge fascinate us so because they're like messages in a bottle from the distant past. Even if their people are gone, we can still feel the weights of their impacts to this day. Dark Souls is a series that takes place in a world of ruins. In each of the games, whether it's Lordan, Drangleic, or Lothric, you arrive at a kingdom that used to be the stuff of legends that's well past its prime. The stories about the legendary War of the Dragons and the mythical kingdom Lord Gwyn later established with the Age of Fire all start to ring hollow as you explore Lordan for yourself. You spend the first half of the game fighting to get to Anor Londo, the city of the gods, which Lord Gwyn created after the dragons were defeated. You can always see it towering above you as you make your way towards it, and the first time you're flown over it, you can see that it's every bit the beautiful, glorious kingdom that we were told it is. It's only when you fight your way through it that you realize that it's rather empty. Apart from the giant knights guarding its giant passageways and the silver knights hounding you at every chance they get, the only people you come across are those dedicated to the cause of finding a chosen undead to link the fire. You never get the sense that there are people who actually live here. It makes you wonder what these knights are even protecting anymore. Certainly not the people. Anor Londo should be a thriving, larger-than-life metropolis, but it just feels like a sad, barren shell of its former self. And that's because it is. You can learn from item descriptions that most of the gods who lived in Anor Londo fled the city as the wider world began to suffer from Gwyn's refusal to let the first flame die out. Whenever I get through this part, as I'm making my way through this now forsaken city, fighting through waves of knights to get to Guinevere's room and finally get an answer as to how I'm meant to cure the undead curse, I can't help but wonder what this city would have been like in its prime. What had become of all these gods who'd left Anor Londo? Where were they now after having lost so much? Or, rather, how would they have felt knowing their city outlived its people? Zoltan Salmagi explains in his work, Reviewing the Past, the Presence of Ruins, that part of what makes ruins so evocative is their unique connection to nature. Even though ruins are not created by the natural world, they are incorporated into it once they are no longer in use by humans. In Ruins Between Past and Present, Between Culture and Nature, Beata Friedrichsach argues that what makes ruins so special is that they are at the intersection between culture, as they were made by mankind, and nature, as plants and animals make these ruins their home once humans are no longer around to take care of them. Perhaps this is why a site like Stonehenge feels so inspiring and wonderful, while Anor Londo feels so desolate and cold. While Stonehenge is a part of a carefully preserved environment to keep it largely untouched, it's allowed to also exist as a part of nature. Anor Londo, meanwhile, feels sterile because we never see any signs of nature overtaking it, even though it's been abandoned for so long. The city doesn't feel like it's a part of either culture or nature, which makes it feel so unnerving. It's the ruins of a once great city, something that the few remaining there stubbornly refuse to admit. This all comes to a head once you meet Ornstein and Smoke. You step into Guinevere's chambers, and she seems every bit the radiant goddess you'd expect the Daughter of Wind to be. Only this isn't the actual Guinevere. The real Guinevere fled Anor Londo along with everybody else. This is just an illusion, meant to shepherd the Chosen Undead along their quest to light the first flame and keep the Age of Fire from coming to an end. Normally, you just get the Lord Vessel from her and be on your way, but if you wanted to, you could choose to attack this illusion, instantly destroying it. When you do, the sky goes dark, and a voice curses you for your transgressions, promising that Anor Londo will be your tomb. When you step outside, you see it. The sun has gone out. What's more, all the giant knights that stood in your way have gone as well. By killing Guinevere, you destroy all the illusions cast in the city, and you can see Anor Londo for what it really is. A barren, cold, desolate city in ruins. Anor Londo is one of my favorite places in the whole Dark Souls series, and the main reason why is because your journey through it directly parallels the journey you take throughout the whole game. What I find most captivating about Anor Londo is how adamantly it refuses to admit that it's a city in ruins. Even though it can't be considered a part of culture as Miyzazaki describes it, what few people remain refuse to let it fall into the hands of nature. As a result, the city becomes something alien, a sterilized version of itself that's utterly beautiful at first sight, but gradually becomes more unnerving as we explore it further. You're then given the opportunity to finally let the city be overtaken by nature by killing the fake Guinevere. Or you could let its few remaining denizens keep the small comfort they have. It's easy to compare these choices to the game's greater dilemma of choosing to prolong the Age of Fire or to let it end and allow nature to decide what comes next, that being the Age of Darkness. When comparing Anor Londo to the ruins we see today, they're both poignant reminders that nothing can last forever, and everything inevitably changes due to the flow of time. However, although the people of Anor Londo tried to make the city last forever and failed, perhaps we can do differently. Instead of treating the ruins of our worlds as a grim reminder for our own mortality, we can instead reframe them as proof that the things we do can leave a mark on the world, even thousands of years later when none of us will be able to see it. Something Miyazaki stresses is that ruins need not symbolize the end of a particular culture, but as one step of a larger cycle of renewal. Even if the ancient Britons aren't around to take care of Stonehenge, their descendants and so many others can still appreciate it for its majesty. And even though the gods had fled Anor Londo, at least one mortal was able to reach the city, and then appreciate its ruins for the great kingdom it once was. Thank you for watching this video. This is the first video essay I've ever done, so please tell me on what I can improve on. I'm planning on making more video essays like this in the future, though they'll probably be more focused on the games themselves than this one. I'm thinking of making videos on the other two Dark Souls games, and maybe even Elden Ring if I get around to finishing it. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.